Now we'll talk a little bit about a disaster-related exemption. And this is a new exemption that was adopted by the legislature and constitutional amendment in 2019. And it would certainly apply because we've had an event that would make a qualifying event for this disaster-related exemption. So it's a temporary disaster exemption, and property owners who suffer property damage as the result of the 2021 winter storm may be eligible for this temporary exemption. And again, it is because there was a disaster declared by the governor, and the damage done by this disaster was absolutely physical damage. You may qualify for this temporary disaster exemption. The exemption applies to qualified property, and the legislature has defined qualified property as being tangible business personal property used for the production of income if the owner files a 2021 rendition. It also qualifies, qualified property is listed as an improvement to the real property, which would include residential buildings, your homes, commercial buildings, industrial buildings, multifamily apartments, and other real property buildings, and also to certain manufactured homes and dwellings. But it's important when we talk about what is qualified property, that land is not considered and was not listed as qualified property. So the exemption will apply only to the structures or the improvements to the real property, and it does not apply to the land. In order to qualify for the exemption, the disaster exemption, the qualified property must be a minimum of 15% damaged. Again, the statute is you've got to have received at least 15% damage in order to qualify for the exemption. And they set out damage assessment levels. There are 4 levels, a 1 through 4. If your property is between 15 and 30% damage, meaning it's minimal but maybe continue to use as intended, the exemption percentage that will be applied will be 15%. If you are at a level 2 and your property had 30 to 60% damage, and that's non-structural damage with a water line less than 18 inches above the floor, then you can get a 30% exemption. A level 3 is if you are 60 to 100, less than 100% damaged, and that's significant structural damage or water line above 18 inches above the floor, then the exemption amount will be 60%. And the final one would be a level 4, which is 100%. It's a total loss and the repair is not feasible for the property. We suspect that we will see most property owners that qualify for the exemption will probably fall in the level 1 or level 2 category. So how do you calculate that in that percentage and make that assessment? And the appraisal district will make that assessment of your damage level. Again, as I stated before, it only applies to the improvement. So here's an example of a property. If the improvement value, and you can see that on our website, if you go to our property search, you'll see what your improvement in land value. In this example, the improvement is valued at $230,000. The land is at 110 for a total property value of 340. We are only looking at the improvement, and we're only looking at the improvement value, both for the calculation of the percentage damage and also for the calculation of the exemption amount. If you provide us damage and cost estimates that say that it's going to cost you $46,000 to repair your property, $46,000 is 20% of 230. So this property would qualify for a level 1 damage assessment. And the level 1 damage assessment exemption percentage is 15%. So we're going to calculate 15% of $30,000 would be used for the calculation. In addition to the exemption percentage, the disaster exemption is also prorated based on the number of days remaining in the year from the date that the governor declared the disaster. So in this case, there's 322 days remaining in the year divided by 365. That gives a proration percentage of 88. So your exemption amount is $34,500, but the prorated exemption amount will be $30,530. And that would be the amount of the exemption that you would get for your property. There is an application that you must apply, use and submit the application. We have put this on our website. The application is on our website. So please go to our website and submit the application if you feel that you will meet the requirements, the 15% damage, and you've got damage related to the winter storm. Submit the application and include any supporting documents such as inspections, photos, repair estimates. If you've got estimates from your insurance adjuster or insurance claims, those are also good parts of information that you can provide on our website. As you're submitting your application on the appraisal district's website, we also have a calculator that you can utilize so that you can kind of get a feel for what your damage assessment rating will be. Again, there's the 4 levels. If you're between 15 and 30%, the exemption is a level 1, and that's a 15% exemption. If you are 30 to 60%, that is a level 2, and that's a 30% exemption. If you were between 60% and 100%, that is a level 3, and that's a 60% exemption. And then if you are 100% total loss, then that's a level 4, and that is a 100% exemption, disaster exemption. We have more information for you on that on our website, and that's www.traviscat.org/disasters.